Settlers came to what is now known as Meridian, Idaho in 1891, one of the fastest growing cities in the Gemstone State. Meridian isn't known for its potatoes like some areas of Idaho. Meridian is known for racing. They love their racing in Meridian. They watch local wheelmen like Randy Tolsma and Davey Hamilton drive their way to stardom. So which NASCAR K&N Pro Series West driver will become the next star? A win tonight will elevate Michael Self's career, while Todd Gilliland looks to wrap up his second championship. Everybody, welcome to the Napa Auto Parts Idaho 208 here at Meridian Speedway for the NASCAR K&N Pro Series West Championship. I'm Ralph Shaheen alongside Brandon McReynolds. Heather DeBoe will be joining us in a few minutes. Brandon, as we take a look at the weather conditions here, breezy night, 59 degrees. That 208's a little different, isn't it?
Yeah, it's a good thing it's nice and cool out tonight because that long race, 208 laps, it can create short tempers. So it'll be interesting to see if these guys can stay off one another until the end of the race.
There's a good look at the location of Meridian. Here's how the points stack up, and it's a good title fight. Eggleston just 5 behind Gilliland.
Yeah, Chris has really come on strong here late in the season, really pushing that 99 car hard. It'll be interesting to see if he can outrun his teammate Todd Gilliland in the 16 tonight.
Well, Todd's going to start on the pole, and Heather DeBoe standing by his car.
The K&N West Championship fight has come down to two teammates, and that is Chris Eggleston and Todd Gilliland. They're the only two drivers this season to win a race besides Kevin Harvick at Sonoma. After the race at Roseburg, only 5 points separate the two. And now joining me is our points leader, Todd Gilliland. Todd, 3 races left to go till we decide this championship. You're fighting for your back-to-back championships here in the West. What are your nerves like at this moment?
They aren't too bad right now. You know, when it comes down to that last race is when you really get, pretty nervous. But I think it just really shows how great these, Napa Auto Parts Toyota Camrys are that come out of Bill McNally Racing. It's quite the feat to be able to win a race in this series. And, for me and Chris to be able to race so hard, for these wins, it's very special to me. And, our ultimate goal is to win the championship, but tonight our focus is just to win this race.
Now, you won this race last year. What are the major takeaways that you learned from last year that you'll be applying to tonight?
Yeah, well, they put some stuff down in the top groove that, last year it became the dominant groove. So we'll see how it turns out this year. But, we're going to try and focus on the bottom. We did all day in practice. So, we'll see. Like I said, we'll see how it turns out. But it's going to be an exciting race. And also, all these fans out here at Meridian Speedway, this honestly is probably the most packed race I've ever seen. So it's a good night here.
Well, that's Todd Gilliland with his 6th pole this season.
6 poles goes nice with 6 wins. He'll be shooting for 7 here tonight. He's got 2 more than Eggleston, and that's a big difference in the point standings.
For sure. Chris has really been coming on strong like we were talking about, but Todd, he's always been dominant. These last 2 years, it's been unbelievable to see the performance out of that Napa car. They've been really strong. I expect them to have a strong run tonight.
When we come back to Idaho, we'll throw the green flag and get to racing. K&N Pro Series Racing and NBCSN is brought to you by K&N high-flow air filters and air intake systems, because everyone loves that fast car smell. NBCSN is in Idaho tonight. Pre-race ceremony's underway for the Napa Auto Parts Idaho 208. Cars warming up the tires, getting ready to go racing. As you can see, we've got a real short track in our hands here tonight.
This is a really tight quarter mile. I remember racing here in 2015. It's one of the best races of the year. A long race, those tight turns, it's going to be action-packed all night long.
These cars probably aren't going to look that pretty at the end of the night. Let's check in with Heather as to who we should keep an eye on.
Making his debut here at Meridian Speedway is rookie contender Derek Kraus. He is currently competing for the Rookie of the Year title against Will Rogers, and they are only separated by 2 points. When I asked him if he thinks about the points, he said, if you do what you're supposed to do as a driver during the race, the points will work themselves out. Tonight, he rolls off 5th.
Well, he's looking for that first win. He's also 3rd in the overall point standings. can see Gilliland's going to start on the inside of row 1 as a points leader, and Eggleston not far back outside of row 2.
Yeah, and I see Trevor Christiani starting up there on the outside pole, a local boy, so it'll be really cool to see if he can fight up there with Chris Eggleston and Todd Gilliland.
Drivers settling in, 208 laps ready to go here in Meridian. Coming to the green flag. Gilliland going to settle right to the bottom, take the lead, and now find his rhythm.
Yeah, that bottom's definitely the way to go. We've seen him practice all day long that the bottom is the preferred groove. They actually have laid down a sticky substance, almost like a Coke syrup in that outside groove, so it'll be interesting to see as this race evolves if that outside line starts to come in.
Keep an eye on Julia Landauer. She's in that Sunrise Ford. Oh, and the yellow comes out right away. Julia was battling for third on the inside. Looks like it's Tyler Fabosi. First start in the K&N Pro Series West, first caution.
Yeah, that's a tough way to get going. Right here on the initial start, everyone's starting to spin their tires there. Looks like he just spun those tires a little too much. You're restarting in second gear typically, there towards the back of the pack. Luckily, no damage there for Tyler. Be able to get it straightened out and rejoin the back of the field and try to work his way back up through there.
See Gilliland, some of the others trying to put some heat in those tires. It's a cool night here. It's tough to get those tires up to temp.
Absolutely. Todd Gilliland, he's probably one of the best in the business at getting heat in his tires, and that definitely pays off on these restarts.
Here we go again. Eggleston and Landauer side by side fighting over third.
Yeah, Landauer's pushing it really hard down there on the bottom, trying to get to that third spot. Chris doing a good job in the 99, getting that momentum up off the corner. That's what we'll see tonight. That top lane, even though it's the furthest way around the racetrack, you can really get that good launch like Chris Eggleston does right there in the 99.
He'll lay claim to third. That'll shove Julia back to fourth. She's got to be careful, though, because she got a little to the outside, and now Self is trying to come alongside on the bottom.
Yeah, I talked to Michael Self last week. He's really hungry to get back into victory lane with his Sinclair car. He's been fighting hard. Seems like every week him and his teammate Julia Landauer are right there together, battling hard, trying to get that first win of the year.
Well, he's fifth in the points, she's seventh, and as you said, they both would like to get a victory. Here's Heather.
Earlier during practice today, I got a chance to catch up with Bill Sedgwick and Julia Landauer. Bill Sedgwick told me that Julia listens and actually applies what he says. He said that she's a great student and surely takes advantage of his 30 years of experience when racing. Now, Julia told me today she is mentally really excited to come to the track that she got her best career finish at, which was second last year. She said they're pretty good, but they were going to make a few more adjustments for the long run and see how it works out during the race.
Boy, she really drove it deep there in that last set of corners. She had that thing almost completely sideways, drives through it.
Yeah, and Rafa, what I think's happening right now with that 6 car is a lot of times as a driver in practice, you'll dial a lot of rear brake into your car to help that car turn the center of the corner. I think that's what we're seeing, so she's probably trying to dial some of that front brake back into it to snug that car up a little bit.
They first ran what would become the NASCAR K&N Pro Series West Championship here in 1972. And then it came back in 2015. Take you back in the day and show you how that race unfolded. Noah Gregson in the 7 had a good car. You were in this race that day, Brandon.
Yeah, our Napa 16 car was really strong. As you can see, this race, it was action-packed, a lot of spins, a lot of guys running into one another. It was a really hard-fought battle. There you see James Bickford getting spun out there.
In other words, it was a good short-track race.
Yeah, I think that's why you see the fans pack this place in every single time the K&N Pro Series comes here. A lot of action. Ended up running second to Noah Gregson that night. He did a good job, and I always told myself I probably should have roughed him up a little bit more than I did.
Well, he earned the victory that night and a good celebration. Who's going to pull it off here tonight? There's Eggleston in the 99. Now, traffic coming into play.
Yeah, lap traffic's going to be huge. As he's catching the second place car of Trevor Christiani, it's going to be really hard to battle there, especially because the 90 car is taking that middle groove, so there's really nowhere for Chris to go, but he's just got to bide his time and wait and see if he can get around Trevor in the 90 car.
If you're wondering if it's rain, it's not. Look at this. Into the barrels is Matt Levine. And he knocked all the water out of that barrel, up and over our cameraman, and then all over the racetrack, too.
That's going to cause quite a bit of cleanup issues. There you see Todd Gillen, our leader, running through that water down on the bottom.
Watch at the entrance into the corner.
That car just went straight on him.
Man, wow, look at that.
Huge impact for Matt Levine in the 10.
You know, we talk a lot about safer barriers. Barrels full of water is a little bit more old school, but it still works.
Absolutely. That was a huge impact for Matt there. It's good to see him climb out of that car. Be interesting to see what happened with his race car. Maybe a stuck throttle, maybe run out of brakes. It'd be interesting to talk to his crew chief and see what went on there.
Well, we'll take a quick break, take care of some business here while they clean up the racetrack, and we'll be right back for more racing from Idaho on NBCSN. Back at the Napa Auto Parts Idaho 208, Ralph Shaheen, Brandon McReynolds, and Heather DeBow with you as we're working our second caution. Back to green we go.
Todd Gillen, he's been sticking with that inside lane on these restarts and the initial start, but that 90, we're seeing him fight hard. Trevor Christiani on that outside, getting that good launch off of turn 4.
Christiani in the Pepsi Chevrolet making a run to the outside. See if he can close the deal and get down in front of him. He will.
Really impressive move for Trevor in that 90 car. He's working higher than I've ever seen anyone race here at Meridian Speedway. Typically, you're right on those hash marks with your left side tires, but he's almost running the third groove trying to get a good launch off the corner.
Let's learn a little bit more about our race leader. Here's Heather.
Making his 5th start here in the K&N West Series is local driver Trevor Christiani. He usually races the modifieds here at Meridian Speedway, and when I spoke to him earlier, he said that he knows the layout of this track, so it should give him an edge on the competition. He also has championship-winning crew chief Roger Bracken up on the box, so that should be very helpful to him tonight.
Well, that modified, nothing like this K&N Pro Series West car, but a little bit of extra track knowledge, knowing that maybe there is a little bit more grip on that outer lane than everybody else thought.
That outside lane, it's really working well for him. Like you said, just having the visuals, being able to know this racetrack as it changes over the course of this race, it's really showing as he's taking the lead from Todd Gillen in the 16 car, using that outside groove.
Doesn't look like anybody wants to venture out there with him just yet. Good battle here, Nicole Bihar. Whoop, got a car around just in front of these two. That's the 7 going around there. That's Will Rogers out of Solvang, California.
Tough break for Will Rogers in the 7. Coming off a strong win, he won at New Jersey on the road course out on the East Series. I know he's really excited to get back to an oval, and he's been working hard at this oval stuff. I mean, he's struggled a little bit throughout the year, but getting better and better each week. Luckily, once again, no damage there. He's got it pointed in the right direction and try to see if he can get back up through the field.
He's got 2 wins in the East Series, both of those coming on road courses, one at Watkins Glen and one at New Jersey. He's closing in on the back of Michael Self there and just drifted up, didn't he?
Looks a lot like what Julia Landauer in the 6 car was fighting. That it looks like a lot of rear brake just got in there a little high. And I remember racing here, you got to be really easy on that brake pedal as you slow your car down, or it can kind of get kicked around on you a little bit.
One more time, here's Heather.
One thing about these short tracks that teams work on is crew chiefs keeping their drivers calm after they have an incident. So in this case, the number 7 of Will Rogers, his crew chief, Jeff Jefferson, was telling him, we'll regroup after that spin. Don't worry about it. He also said after these last few laps that he's 10 times faster than the cars in front of him, so they will get back into the top 5 if he just keeps doing what he's doing. What
would calm you down?
I don't know. I'd be pretty heated right there, too, in that same situation. But Jeff Jefferson, he does a great job keeping his drivers calm. I've worked with him a few times, and that's good advice. Got a long way to go.
Closing in on the halfway mark, too. Green flag. Gillen with an opportunity to get the lead back if he can make that inside lane work.
Yeah, Trevor in the 90, he's been staying true to that outside groove, even on this restart. Really tight battle right there. Todd's pushing that car really hard, trying to get that lead back, and I think that's why we're seeing Chris Eggleston in the 99 be ultra aggressive right here. He sees that his teammate is fighting for that lead. He's trying to get up there and get some of those points as well.
So hard to make up ground on this racetrack and get around somebody. You got to take advantage of these restarts. And Eggleston, oh no, there goes Trevor.
Looks like he almost climbed that wall down the back straightaway. I remember from racing here, there's like a little lip on the bottom and it can jump the car. It looks like that's what happened to Trevor in the 90 car. They're going down the back straightaway, just tight racing there with Todd Gilliland.
Well, one of the things about a tough short track like this is you've got to survive the night, not just be fast. Yep, that's exactly what happened.
Just popped that right rear up in the air, just got a little too close to the wall. Nothing Todd Gilliland did. That's just tight racing, tight short track battle right there. And feel bad for Trevor. He's doing a good job, but you said it, Ralph. You just got to be there at the end. Sometimes you got to be a little patient and keep the tires and wheels on the car until the end of the race. But Trevor was doing a really good job in that car.
Well, track knowledge is one thing, series experience is another, right?
Absolutely. Todd Gilliland and these guys, they'll eat you up and spit you out. They've done this so many times, have won a lot of races. Him, Chris Eggleston, Michael Self, they got a lot of experience, and that's tough to overcome when you're only running on an occasional basis or a couple times a year.
He'll file that one away, that's for sure.
Absolutely.
Well, now it's between Eggleston and Gilliland. 1 and 2 on the points, 1 and 2 on the racetrack. NBCSN is working its way towards the end of the championship season of 2017 for the NASCAR K&N Pro Series West in Meridian, Idaho tonight. The green flag waved to his points leader, Todd Gilliland, on the pole, but watch Matt Levine pound the barriers, kicking water up everywhere. Trevor Christiani was battling for the lead when he spun out, bringing out our latest caution. Gilliland has really dominated the night. He hasn't been the only leader, but he's led the most laps.
He has, Ralph. It'll be interesting to see if his teammate Chris Eggleston can take away that lead on this restart here on the outside.
Those two cars right there, the 16 and the 99 team cars, and 1 and 2 in the points. Separated by just a couple.
You see Todd really drive that car down into turn 3, running his teammate Chris Eggleston up the racetrack. That really allowed him to get that car turned and take away Chris's exit off of turn 4.
Single digits, just 5 markers separating those two in the point standing. 6 wins for Gilliland, 4 for Eggleston, 10 top 5s for Chris, 8 for Todd. And just a couple of rounds of racing left to go. Here's Souza and Perkins battling over a spot in the top 5.
This is probably the toughest area to race at right here. When you're just outside of that top 4 or top 5, everyone's 2 by 2 by 2, so it's really difficult to get that track position. Sometimes you got to kind of lay the chrome horn to them, so to speak, and be a little bit more aggressive to get that track position.
We're past the halfway point, so you've got to make what you have work.
Absolutely, and I think that's what we're seeing right here. This top 4, they're all single file, but they're starting to push that groove up. I think they all watched Trevor Christiani in the 90 take the lead on the outside. They're all learning a lesson from that as this race goes on.
We know drivers like Gilliland and Eggleston are great up-and-coming drivers. Who else is a next-gen NASCAR star?
Hi, I'm Cody Vanderwall. I'm the driver of the number 32 Trident Processes Ford Fusion. I got my start racing on the dirt in an old Enduro car, 1972 Monte Carlo Junker. From there, I moved up to pure stocks at Colorado National Speedway, and then super stocks and pro trucks. And I started racing some late models in Tucson, and got a one-off ride in a K&N car for the 2017 season opener at Tucson. And we've been having a lot of fun, and it's been a blessing. My goal for the season is to finish top 10 in points. I'd like to get further up than that, but we'll see how it goes. So far, we've had a really good season for our first time. My dream in racing is obviously to make it to Cup, but at this point, my goal is just to go as far as circumstances will let me, and if the money comes, then I'd love to go all the way. I'm Cody Vanderwall, and that's your NASCAR Next Gen profile.
Cody, definitely one of those drivers to keep an eye on. Driver out of Colorado. Gilliland and Eggleston, and dealing with traffic, and that could give the edge to Chris, and he's going to use that body on that car to help gain the lead as well.
Chris Eggleston not cutting his teammate any slack, and he shouldn't. These two are battling for the lead, battling for points. There's Todd crossing him over, getting into his left rear a little bit. Really tight racing here at Meridian, and I know that's what all the fans love to see. I'm sure Bill McAnally, he's cringing right now, probably hopping on that radio with both of these guys, telling them to settle down.
And both of them looking for their second K&N Pro Series West championship. Eggleston winning it in 2015. That's the driver in the black 99. And Gilliland in that blue 16, getting it just last season.
And there we see the other teammate, Derek Kraus. Let's not forget about him. He's really getting around this quarter mile really well, working that outside groove, trying to cross up his teammate Todd Gilliland in the 16. Really good spotter. Eric Holmes on the radio, walking him through each of these situations and learning how to race as this race evolves.
Whoa, man, Gilliland putting that right rear right up along the wall.
He's got to be careful overheating that right rear. Looked like Derek Kraus might have gotten the back of him just a little bit. He had a really good, strong exit off of turn 4. Really hard racing right here. These guys are having to split these lap cars.
Look at that. In shoving his way past Julia Landauer.
Really aggressive move for Todd Gilliland there, but he had to go. Derek Kraus was right there with him, so he had to be aggressive and get on through that lap traffic.
Well, he's a little frustrated coming into the night as well, because he just lost a K&N Pro Series East title just yesterday.
That's a good point, Ralph. You know, he flew here all night long, probably really tired, like you said, aggravated, losing that championship to Harrison Burton on the East, so definitely a motivated driver in that 16 car tonight.
Looked like he had a real shot at winning it at Dover yesterday, and a blown right front tire took it away. The last thing he's going to want to do is let a teammate take it away now, but he's got his teammate and title contender leading, and another teammate taking more points out from under him here with that pass as Derek Kraus moves to second.
Once again, that lap traffic really hurt Todd Gilliland in the 16. He's got to be patient right here. I know we talked about it. He's probably really aggravated, wants to have a good run, get up there and battle his teammates for the win. But right at this point, he's got to keep those tires cool with just over 50 laps left in the race.
Well, you can spin your tires in a lot of ways, and right now I think Todd feels like he's just spinning him in his brain.
Absolutely, yeah. He's just being aggressive on that throttle. Todd's an aggressive guy. The best thing that David Gilliland and his crew chief, Chris Lawson, could be telling him is, hey, man, keep those tires on it. We're going to get another caution more than likely, and we got to be there at the end to be able to have a shot to win this race.
Eggleston doing everything just right now, but I got to tell you, Kraus looks like the fastest car on the track.
Looks like Derek Kraus's car is able to just roll the middle of the corner just a little quicker. He's running a little higher line. I think that's allowing him to keep his momentum up, really putting the pressure on Chris Eggleston, getting to his back bumper, trying to free him up off the corner.
Kraus, a rookie, looking for his first win. The one thing Eggleston can't afford is for Kraus to get too aggressive and take him out in the process.
That's right, especially being a teammate. You can't have a mistake and take yourself out of the championship. I think that was a good move. It looked like Chris didn't let him go, but just cut him a little bit of a break. And Derek Kraus, he's got a really strong car in that 19 car.
When you're only separated by 5 points in the championship, it's better to just make sure you're in front of the guy you're battling with and maybe let the win get away.
Absolutely, yeah. Chris knows who he's racing right now, and that's that 16 car about 2-3 car lengths behind him. I'm sure he'll try to keep pace with his teammate Derek Kraus and try to get to the end of this thing and see if he can have a shot later in the race.
This is round 12 of 14. There's only a couple left to go after tonight.
And one mistake in this race with only a couple races left, and you're out of the championship. If you make a mistake, there's enough cars in this race that if you lose all those points, then there's no getting it back with just 2 races after Meridian.
As Gilliland learned yesterday at Dover, he was leading the race when that right front tire let go. You would have seen that on our coverage here on NBCSN of the K&N Pro Series East Championship. And there just wasn't time left to gain the points back he needed.
This will be interesting, too, to see how Derek Kraus, a rookie, gets around that lap traffic. Cody Vanderwall pinching him down a little bit. He's fighting for his own spot as well, but Derek Kraus, he's starting to negotiate these guys on the bottom, doing a good job keeping that car hooked up and just trying to stay away from his teammate, Chris Eggleston.
Harrison Burton ended up taking the East Championship. It will be Eggleston or Gilliland who will win it here this year in the West as we get another spinner here. Looked like a little bit of help for John Wood in the 38.
That was a close call right there in front of our leaders, Derek Kraus. Derek did a good job getting checked up and staying off the 38 of John Wood.
John, in one of the Patriot Motorsports Group Chevrolets, there's a handful of those in the field here tonight.
That seems to be the theme all night long, that lap traffic, how you get around the lap traffic as the leaders. It seems to be kind of fighting these guys as to who's leading this race. John Wood just getting a little free on exit there. Really close call for Derek Kraus in the 19.
Yeah, I thought he had a little help there, but I guess not. He just spun him up, didn't he?
Yeah, late in the race, those rear tires, they've been roasting. You've been laying on that throttle, spinning the right rear off the corner, so just a little free on exit there for John Wood. He'll get her pointed back in the right direction.
You really only have a handful of laps so those tires really work, because in the beginning they're too cold and they'll spin up on you. At the end, they're too worn out. We'll see who's got what left as we race to the checkers when we come back. This race was scheduled for 208 laps. Brandon, we only have 41 to go.
It's getting down to them. These three Bill McAnally racing cars are going to start being ultra aggressive, and we can't forget Michael Self running in fourth in the 9 car.
Derek Kraus going to use that outside to his advantage. Here comes Gillen on the bottom, though, right alongside of Eggleston.
That was a veteran move for Derek Kraus to take the outside, allowed him to get that good launch off of turn 2 and keep the lead from Chris Eggleston in the 99.
And here comes the 7 back into the fray. We've been talking about Will Rogers. Maybe he can make something happen here late in the day.
That 7 car always seems to run well. We saw earlier that Noah Gregson went in here with Jefferson Pitts Racing. I talked to Will's crew chief, Jeff Jefferson, earlier in practice, and he felt like this is one of the best cars that they've ever brought to this racetrack. So that's got to make the competition a little nervous with just a handful of laps left, and Will's working his way up through there.
If this thing stays green, they will definitely get back in traffic here soon, and that could have a real impact as to who has the best shot at the win here tonight.
And what we'll see here, Ralph, is whoever has the best car is going to be able to pass on the bottom. All these cars, the top 5, they're lined up running the outside. So the only way you're going to be able to get any more track position or win this race is go to the bottom where those other cars aren't. So we'll see just how good Will Rogers in that 7 car is if he can turn down to the bottom and pass Michael Self.
Let's get an update on Michael Self, the driver of the 9 from Heather.
Believe it or not, Michael Self has never raced here at Meridian Speedway, and the last race he competed in was the ARCA race at Chicago. So that's a little bit different coming from such a big track like that to this small track. But he said he felt pretty solid in practice, and the car felt really well balanced. He just said he's terrible at qualifying, but at least it leaves him room to move forward.
Absolutely nothing similar between Chicagoland and this place.
No, both racetracks are definitely different. Chicago, big 1.5 miles. This racetrack, tight little quarter-mile, but a lot of confidence, I'm sure, coming from Chicago in the ARC race for Michael Self. He had a strong run, led a lot of that race, had a blown right front tire late in the race, and so I'm sure he's walking into the garage area today with his head held high, really looking forward to try to battle for this win.
Eggleston holding on to second, 5 points behind the driver of the 16, Todd Gilliland, in the championship. Kraus leads. Don't forget, Rogers and Kraus are battling for the rookie championship. They're 3rd and 4th in the points, separated by only 2, and 1 and 2 in the rookie chase. There's a look at the 32 car. That's Cody Vanderwall. We were introduced to Cody earlier in the show in our Next Gen segment.
I'm really impressed to see all these guys running that 2nd to 3rd lane. Typically, when we come to Meridian, you still have a handful of cars on the bottom. We mentioned the sticky substance or the Coke syrup or whatever they've laid down one groove up, but these guys are really starting to drive down in the corner, put those right side tires a little higher than we've ever seen here before. So I think that's why we're seeing everyone get single file here late in the race. Everyone's starting to figure out where that fast groove is at.
That also means that bottom lane is wide open, if you can make that work.
That's right, and I think that's what we're going to see. Like we talked with Will Rogers, he's riding behind the 9 of Michael Self, trying to figure out a way around, and the only lane he has open is the bottom.
Oh, boy. We might have another yellow here. No, we're going to stay green. Was that the 39 machine?
That's got to be a little nerve-wracking for Todd Gillen. He's got some right front fender damage as he got into that lap car.
Here comes Gilliland trying to get to that bottom.
Yeah, it looks like the 39, he didn't know really which way he wanted to go, and Todd just went ahead and drove it in there. He can't afford to let the 9 car or the 7 get around him, so he had to be aggressive there. But hopefully that right front tire isn't getting hit by the fender. Might cause a flat tire here late in the going. He's got to be careful with that.
Yeah, you can see there is some significant damage to that right front corner on Gilliland's machine, and things are going to get worse for him now, as here comes the 7 of Will Rogers inside, and Gilliland's going to get hung up behind a slower car. Rogers is going to bang into that car. That's Jesse Iwuji.
Will's really turning the wick up here at late race. He's starting to be more aggressive. That was a big break when Todd got into that lap car, allowed him to get around Michael Self in the 9. And when he got to the 16 of Todd Gilliland, he said, I'm coming through. Just used all the racetrack, run into him a little bit, but that's just good short track racing. He sees his opportunity, and he's trying to run down the leaders.
I think the way things have gone this weekend for Todd Gilliland, he's going to be happy when this night is over, put this weekend behind him, and then start thinking about how does he salvage the West Championship. The East title is already gone. It looks the way we're running right now, he's going to lose the points lead here in the West as well.
Yeah, and he struggled last year at Roseville. That's our next race coming up, so I'm sure that's in the back of their mind, having a tough night here at Meridian and then going to a similar style racetrack like Roseville, a tight little quarter mile where he struggled a little bit last year. It'll be interesting if he can kind of recompose and get his whole team back on track to go up there and battle for the win when we get to Roseville in a couple weeks after having a little bit of a tough night here in Meridian.
All-America Speedway out in Roseville, California, suburb of Sacramento. You might know an old PA announcer from out there, Brandon.
I think I've been standing next to him all night here.
You have been.
Pretty good.
Great little racetrack. Anyway, the lap's winding down with this one here, closing in on 10 to go.
Derek Kraus, he's been really putting it on the field tonight. He's been running that outside groove, has his car hooked up. Ty Joyner, his crew chief, has a really good setup under that car, really good spotter, and Eric Holmes. A lot of experience surrounding him.
And he's very good on this tight quarter mile, but the next one that he's going to isn't the same. It's got a lot more banking in the corner, so you can't just say, hey guys, clean this one up, cover it up, and let's just bring this to Roseville the same way it is, because the car's not going to run the same way.
Absolutely. This is more of a flat style racetrack. Like you mentioned, Roseville has a lot more banking, especially in turns 3 and 4. So this K&N West Series, it's ultra competitive. These guys have to work day in and day out on their race cars to make them better, and we've seen this 19 group do just that as Derek Kraus has gained experience, and he started off the year pretty strong, but just didn't have the experience to go up there and battle for a win. But he has a demanding lead here tonight with just 10 laps to go.
He's got 6 top 5s, 3 of those second place finishes. He's 3rd in the championship, 2 up on Will Rogers in the battle for that rookie chase as well, and he's going to extend his lead and maybe get that first win here tonight. And Eggleston came into the night just 5 points behind in that number 99 Napa Filters car. And he could leave here tonight as a new points leader, the K&N Pro Series West Championship.
I know Chris Eggleston wants to win this race and take that lead back away from the 19, but I'm sure he's really happy in the spot that he's in. He's riding in second, no pressure in front of him or behind him. He's in a really good spot. I'm sure he's hoping this race just goes green all the way through. He can collect his points and move on to the last 2 races of the year.
I would expect all the McAnally cars to be good in Roseville because Bill McAnally began his racing career there as well. A lot of experience at that racetrack.
Yeah, their shop's just down the road from Roseville, the great racetrack, All-American Speedway. So I know Bill's really excited to get down there and put on a great event. Does it every year, has a lot of people from Napa out there. So I'm sure he's excited seeing his cars run so well tonight, especially the 19 and 99 going into that next race at Roseville. 5
to go here, and what a beautiful facility they have there. And if you're a huge fan of the San Francisco 49ers, like I happen to be, Bill's got quite the memorabilia collection on display at his shops as well for the 49ers over the years.
I'll be happy to give you a tour, right?
Yeah. Julia Landauer hanging on in the 6. Started off such a good night for her. You can see some damage to the rear end of her car. She'll be looking to regroup with that Sunrise Ford team at the next round. But Kraus just working his way through. 3 to go now.
He's just counting the laps down here. This is the most nerve-wracking part of the race as the leader. You're just waiting on something to go wrong. Oh, we got trouble up in turn 3 and 4.
And a caution comes out right at the end. That's going to be John Wood involved in it.
That's exactly what I was just talking about, Ralph. As the leader, you're just waiting on something to go wrong, and unfortunately, that caution comes out with John Wood.
Well, Ray Elder won that first race here in what would have been the Winston West Series back in 1972. And now we're going to have a green-white checker to see who's going to win it here in 2017.
Looks like he just got up into the outside wall, might have had an issue with his right front. Looks like the right side of that car's laying down, dragging a little bit as you see those sparks coming out from underneath it.
Well, a green-white checkered. It's been a pretty thrilling race so far. How aggressive will Eggleston be here on his teammate? A win would be a lot of points towards the title. Ready to go, the Napa Auto Parts Idaho 208 down to the last green-white checker. Here we go. Eggleston on the inside. Gets to jump on Kraus. Kraus was the leader, but he was sleeping at the restart.
That's why we talked. I mean, you're hoping that caution doesn't come out, and it really hurt Kraus as he's getting used up by Will Rogers in the 7.
And look at Self come sliding by to take over second, and how about Gilliland? He can force an issue, and around goes Kraus. Out of the lead and out of the top 10.
And you mentioned it looks like Chris Eggleston's going to win this race.
Eggleston takes the victory. That is win number 5 on the year, and it looks like Gilliland could do no better than third. This played perfectly into Chris Eggleston's hands here tonight.
That's that experience that we were talking about. That late race restart really hurt Derek Kraus. He ended up getting roughed up by his teammates. Chris Eggleston, with that experience, goes on to win the race.
Look at Kraus getting pushed from the inside by the 7 machine of Rogers, and there was just nothing he could do. He was on the outside, nowhere to go, and Gilliland took huge advantage of it. His experience, saw that door open, and he gets third place point.
He did. He drove it in there underneath the 7. Really used up Derek Kraus in the 19. I'm sure he's really frustrated with the end of that race.
Let's take a look at it again. Now, Eggleston, boy, he got a tremendous jump. Too good of a jump?
Yeah, I think that's what NASCAR is looking at. The rule is the leader on a restart, especially late in the going, but the rule is that the leader has to go first. I think what they're taking a look at is you see the 99 fire right there before the restart point. That's going to be a tough call. It looks to me like the 99. There you go.
Hey, guess what? Michael Self now gets the win.
Big points implications right there, Ralph.
Huge, huge. We're going to take a look at this, get all the math right, and we'll set you up straight when we come back to Meridian. K&N Pro Series Racing on NBCSN is brought to you by K&N High Flow Air Filters and Air Intake Systems, because everyone loves that fast car smell. Well, if you like controversial finishes, we've got one for you here at the Napa Auto Parts Idaho 208 and Meridian Speedway. 2 or 3 different guys we thought might have won this race. And in the end, it's Michael Self in the 9 who gets the big trophy, the checkered flag, and all the points for winning. And he also gets to talk to Heather.
Michael Self, your winner here at Meridian Speedway. With some drama there at the end, a disqualification will give him his first win this season in the K&N West Series, 7th win of his career. Michael, we can see the emotion in your face right now, but we have to talk about that final restart and that crazy finish there at the end. Tell us what happened from your perspective.
First off, this is going to seem silly to a lot of people, but this is so emotional. I mean, it's been 4 years since I've been in contention to win. I mean, 3 years out of the car at all, just fighting to get back in a race car, and never knowing if I would have another chance. And Sinclair Oil Corporation and Bob Brancotti gave me a chance. And we've been close this year on the ARCA side. We've been so close, had a couple wins taken away from us there, and just been fighting with these guys and staying motivated all year. And to get back here with Sinclair Oil on the car is huge. It's just such a massive day for me. With all of them over here, everyone from Stinker Stores, I can't thank them enough for their support. It's unbelievable to get back to victory lane, to be the first car that's not a Bill McAnally car to win this year.
Congratulations.
Yeah, thanks, guys.
For Michael Self, he came into the night 5th in the championship. 4 top 5s, didn't have a win yet, and he's got one now, and that celebration is on. Okay, so here's a look at the results. Gilliland gets 2nd. Look at Eggleston, 7th now.
Tough break for Chris Eggleston, but that's the rule. I mean, NASCAR made the right call. He jumped a little too early. You can beat the leader to the line if you're in 2nd place. You just can't launch first, and that's what hurt him.
So he gets to be last on the lead lap cars. That's why they chose 7th. Now we hear from Gilliland, who's going to have a big break in the points, Heather.
It's been a long day already for Todd Gilliland. Todd, you came from Dover today to race this race. You started off well in the race. It looked like you kind of maybe lost your car a little bit, but you were able to end up 2nd. Tell us about your race tonight.
Yeah, man, that first run right there, I think it was about 30 laps. This thing was lights out fast, just wrapped the bottom super good, had amazing drive off, and then we don't really know what happened from there. It started bouncing really bad on entry all the way up the track, and the exhaust skirt got kind of pushed in right onto the right rear tires, so that got the right rear really hot, and just really everything kind of went away, and we're just kind of hanging on. And then that last restart, at the end, we talked about how it was lights out fast at the beginning. Man, that 19 was really fast. Man, that's another good Napa Auto Parts, car from Bill McAnally Racing up there. We were 1, 2, 3 for a while, and I really hate that he didn't get his first one. If we couldn't do it out here, and that restart was crazy. Everyone's trying to get everything they can, and I hate that it all ended like that. But I'm happy I could bring home 2nd place for Napa, Toyota, TRD, and everyone at Bill McAnally Racing that's worked so hard for me this year.
Thanks, Todd.
Thanks.
Okay, so they were separated by 5 coming into the night, Eggleston and Gilliland. He didn't get the win, but look what this does to the points. He more than doubled what he had. He's up 11 now on Chris with 2 races to go.
That's a big break for Todd Gilliland. We talked about him losing that East Series championship. I'm sure he's really happy with the way things went, but a tough break for Chris in that 99. I know he's got to be upset.
Let's hear from Chris Eggleston.
Here now with Chris Eggleston. Chris, obviously some confusion there on that final restart. Do you feel like that black flag was justified, or what was it like from your driver's seat?
No, not at all. I'm not really sure where that whole deal is. I mean, we're standing here waiting to talk to NASCAR and try to appeal that restart. I didn't feel like I left early at all. The 19 was lagging back, and I think he was trying to get us to jump. And when he didn't go, I mean, I couldn't drag the brakes hard enough to get to the line, and he still wouldn't go. I mean, I don't think I shifted into 4th until I got into the middle of 1 and 2. I don't feel like the 19 maintained race speed. I feel like that's why he got passed by people behind him. So my interpretation of the rule from NASCAR is we go at the box, and if the leader doesn't go, the 2nd place is allowed to beat the leader to the line if he can't maintain the speed, as long as it's a restart or not the original start. So I guess we just all need to get some clarification here, and that's why we're standing here, and hopefully we get an honest answer. But nevertheless, thanks to everybody with Napa Filters and Toyota, Trico Welding Supply, Toyota. I don't think we had a winning car. I mean, Derek by far had us covered. I mean, he was like 2/10 faster than us, and it's really good for him, and a bum for him that the yellow came out. But at the same time, I thought my experience could have probably, came into play there, and I felt like it did. I thought I did everything right. I don't think I did anything wrong. It's just a really tough position to be in right now. And so if they do give it the win to Michael, congrats to them. That's a long time coming for them this season. Michael does a great job for those guys. And nevertheless, whatever the outcome is, we'll keep our heads high. We'll go into Roseville and Kern and just keep digging.
Thanks, Chris.
All right, thank you, Heather.
Thoughts on what he said?
I think what happened there, watching the replay and listening to his thoughts, is he started creeping forward, and Derek Kraus, he panicked, started gassing it up, so it made it look a lot worse than what it was. But a rule's a rule, and that's the way NASCAR saw it, and at the end of the day, he jumped the restart a little bit, whether it was his fault or not.
Well, you see our next race is going to be the Modifieds from Charlotte. That'll be a good one. And we'll be with you for the completion of the 2017 NASCAR K&N Pro Series West Championship as well here on NBCSN as Eggleston and Gilliland battle all the way to the season finale. For Heather DeBow and Brandon McReynolds, I'm Ralph Shaheen. So long from Meridian, Idaho, and congratulations to our race winner for the first time in 2017, Michael Self.